When it was first released just a few weeks ago, the new Chinese-made artificial intelligence app DeepSeek shocked the world with its powerful capabilities and efficiency, and apparently the fact that it was produced much more cheaply than any of the other models. Before it was made available to the public, American artificial intelligence products like OpenAI, ChatGPT, who make ChatGPT, were the dominant platforms. But the American AI is expensive to build, and the Chinese one was made at a fraction of the cost. But it hasn't taken long for the Australian government to ban the use of DeepSeek on government devices like phones and laptops, which has prompted a response from the Chinese Communist Party. Quote, the Chinese government has never and will never require enterprises or individuals to illegally collect or store data, said the Chinese Communist Party in a statement. So, should you be worried about it? Maybe. Katina Michael is Honorary Professor at the Faculty of Business and Law, School of Business at UOW, and she researches in the area of emergency technologies and has lots of interest in technologies used for national security and their social implications, especially privacy. And Katina Michael joins us now once more on ABC Illawarra. G'day.
G'day, Nick. You know, it's kind of interesting you called it emergency technologies. It probably is an emergency right now that we're looking into this.
Did I? Oh, that was a bit of a Freudian slip on my part,
I think you're right.
wasn't it? Now, what do you imagine are the concerns that the security people within the Australian government hold about DeepSeek?
Oh, look, there's so many, and the government has come out, Tony Burke, and said, look, there are three things we've got to think about. The information we upload will not be private. It'll be available. So if you upload it, you're adding data to the large language model. The second thing is the stuff that comes out of DeepSeek and any other, of course, generative AI system may not be accurate, may be misleading in terms of the content. And the third thing is beware of malware that may well be infiltrating your mobile phones if you download the app, or your systems in general.
Okay, you're saying that if you download the app, that you are signing up to your own information being used to continue to refine their model?
Definitely. Everything that you add, everything that you prompt generative AI system, anything that is within your system and their privacy policy of what they gather, for example, email address, phone number, IP address, the operating system type, but anything you feed it, anything you upload into it, anything you prompt it, yes, that actually adds to the large language model and is used to train the model and refine it.
Mm. I was reading a little bit about it and saying it might get access to administrative privileges within your computer or possibly on your phone. What does that mean in practice?
In practice, pretty much the privacy policy of DeepSeek say that they will get some technical information. And this is not different to most apps out there, but your IP, your phone model, your operating system, even keystroke patterns, which is really a form of biometrics for an individual. And they claim that it's being used for safety, security, and stability. But in actual fact, this entering the system. Of course, we can't prove that at the moment, not that it's going to happen, not that it is happening, but that's one of the government's fears is that if you download this, we really can't say much about its safety. But at the same time, we have to remember DeepSeek is open source code. It's the first time a big organization that's made such a big splash has said, in this instance, a generative AI model, it's all open source. You go and inspect the code and, figure out for yourselves if you think this is safe or not. But the ultimate issue is the data that we provide. I know many people are not thinking about the implications of any generative AI, and maybe even uploading SMSs or WhatsApp correspondence to make sense of relationship information, and they don't really realize the repercussions that data is not private. You're uploading information, whether it's a technical report at work or it's something else that you want to upload to gain some kind of nuanced response from. You are making that data available to everybody else in an indirect fashion.
Is open source, now for those people that are not into coding, why is that significant?
because it means anyone with the technical capability and who can have access to that information can go there and actually inspect the code to see what is being requested, what is being demanded, where data is being directed to, how it's being manipulated. And of course, here we're talking about a model in AI that uses 1.5 billion parameters, right? So it's not like we're going to be able to inspect the 1.5 billion parameters that is being used in terms of distillation in the actual algorithm, but we are going to look at how is the rule-based reward system being rolled out instead of the neural reward model that's being used in other reinforcement learning. So for those who have the technical know-how, they can actually go into the code and inspect the programming and see how it's working. And that's really, OpenAI hasn't done that. In fact, what they've called out DeepSeek is said, lay off our fundamental innovation in ChatGPT and leave, don't copy us. And yet everything about generative AI is really about copying.
Interesting. I mean, in a way, does that make it a more positive thing that they've got this, even though it would take technical people to really examine it, that they are open source? Does that make them at least a tiny bit more open than ChatGPT or Microsoft or whoever else is making AI models?
I think that's really very positive in general. I think if a lot of our bigger organizations, big tech firms did invest in open source, it would be allowing for a greater level playing field. I know a lot of Google products are open source, but there's something I'm on the board of called the National Deep Inference Fabric, NDIF, which is similar, trying to create a US-based public sort of generative AI system that allows anyone to be able to access the generative AI at zero cost, and being able to scale and do large reproducible experiments on these platforms for everybody. So you democratize the technology so that everyone has access for free to the best of that generative AI system. And this, of course, is a competitive lead against OpenAI and other kinds of large language models and generative AI systems. But China, having done this, is particularly controversial because data is being stored on Chinese servers. And of course, this is linked to the economic system of China being a communist economic system. And of course, this raises alarm bells in context of national security for many, many governments around the world.
I'm really aware that, we're talking about being suspicious of, the Chinese Communist Party getting your data. But quite frankly, I don't want my data being used by Grok, owned by Twitter/X and Elon Musk or Microsoft or OpenAI or anyone. Is there something particularly insidious about AI getting your data or AI companies just because of the power of these computer programs?
I think this is a fair discussion point and something that ASPI in Australia has pointed to and said, well, it's all good and well that we're talking about, and we have banned, actually, the government has banned the use of DeepSeek by government officials, public sector officials, on their government systems and on their mobile devices. But ASPI is saying, well, they've left it open to the public to decide what to do with the use of DeepSeek and whether they wish to use these and download these on their personal devices. So on the one hand, we're banning public sector employees, and on the other hand, we're saying to the general public, good luck, have a go and make up your own mind. And really, this points to research coming out of the European Commission, led by academics like Patrick Mikolev, that talk about competencies and talk about different awareness levels that we have in attitude, in operational competencies and literacy competencies. And really, we have to raise these competencies from a technological perspective, a managerial, and then policy, legal, and ethical. And to break this down, we're at this point, inflection point, where we need the rest of society to become more educated and to want to delve into what does this mean about me parting with personal information on a GPT kind of service, whether it's DeepSeek or any other, and how do we raise these literacy levels and attitudinal competencies within organizations, whether they're public sector agencies or they're private organizations or not-for-profits or non-government organizations. So it's really about us catching up to really understanding the implications of this, as you say, Nick, and what does it mean for personal data. And really, when I look back at history, let's look at the last sort of 15, 20 years or so, entrance of Wikipedia. Okay, who are these administrators that have access to changing pages on Wikipedia? And then we saw the, implementation of Facebook and social media and TikTok and video. And now we're at that chatbot level. But if I look at it, it's really intelligence gathering from a defense perspective, from a military perspective, from a governmental perspective, from foreign intelligence perspectives. This whole stream of history is really about open source intelligence. So we talked about open source coding, but if we go to open source intelligence, people are voluntarily placing personal information in these generative AI systems. Surely we've got intelligence communities mining this data, and what does this actually mean about social implications? So I think historically we can look back at, we fed the data in terms of encyclopedias, now we're feeding it with social media content. What do I think? Opinion leaders, influencers, we're feeding it with YouTube and TikTok videos where we're filming our homes, filming ourselves in action, and now chatbots, we're spilling our guts to these generative AI systems. But what does this really in essence mean about intelligence communities and open source intelligence gathering?
Katina Michael, always enlightening to talk to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Nick.
Katina Michael, UOW Faculty of Business and Law, and has a string of publications and interests to her. You're with Nick Reinberger, 12 minutes away from 9. Alex has given us a call from